Hello everyone and welcome back to Destiny. We are right in the middle of the first Iron Banner of Year 3, and for a lot of reasons that we'll go over in this video, I think this actually might be the best Iron Banner to date. I think the only other Iron Banner I was this excited for was the one way back in Year 1, where they upgraded the Iron Banner gear to help all of us Forever 29s finally hit level 30. So in this video, we're going to take a quick look at all of the loot that I happened to get from taking all of my characters to rank 5, and my thoughts on the state of Crucible rewards. The first notable item that I attained was the Lingering Song. I actually got probably 3 or 4 of these weapons, but I finally landed one that I really liked. It has Firefly, oiled frame, and extended mag. Now this is a very high impact hand cannon, and normally it has a less than desirable reload rate, which is helped by the oiled frame. It feels very similar to the first Curse hand cannon, which you can get from the Gunsmith quest. It's very low rate of fire, so you have to have a lot of patience to use this weapon, meaning that if you're not already a fan of hand cannons, this isn't going to win you over. But for those who can appreciate the utility of a good hand cannon, the Lingering Song is definitely worth your time. Now, another surprise hit for me was the Distant Star Scout Rifle. Now, I'm not a huge fan of scout rifles, and this particular one that I got doesn't have the best rolls, but it does have full auto, which kind of plays into why I like it. Perks like Hammer Forest, Rescue Mag, and Eye of the Storm work really well in the Crucible, so that's where I decided to go ahead and test it out. And to my surprise, I had a lot of success with it. Now, I'm a huge fan of the iron sight scopes, because I feel like they do a really good job of helping you line up your sights. And also, this weapon is super stable, which is why it works so well with full auto. Now, let's compare this to the Mida Multi-Tool. Surprisingly, this actually has the exact same rate of fire, but has slightly higher impact. And with the stability being where it is, that's what makes it so deadly. Now, of course, the stats of the Mida are better overall, but remembering that this weapon is a legendary, it's beyond acceptable. This actually might stick around to be my go-to scout rifle for the Crucible. The next weapon I've mentioned before, and that is the Proudspire shotgun. It's actually a really fantastic PvE shotgun. It has a very high rate of fire, low impact, and I suppose you could use this effectively in the Crucible with rifled barrel, but I'm going to be using it in PvE mostly, and that's because of full auto. That combined with casket mag gets you 7 shots in the barrel that come out at a very fast rate. This weapon is very effective against shielded red bars, and even shielded majors can be taken out with all 6 bullets, which you can unload into them before they even know what hit them. Now this brings up the topic of which I call the Tale of Two Shotguns. If you know, in the record book you get a weapon called Winter's End, which is a fantastic weapon, but has very high impact and a lower rate of fire. The weapons look almost identical with the exception of the silver barrel instead of a bronze one. The difference is that Winter's End is actually a fantastic Crucible weapon, with perks like rifled barrel, lightweight, and performance bonus. But curiously, you get this out of the record book, which has you complete mostly PvE activities. I personally think this is a case of mistaken identity. I feel like the stats and perks on these two weapons should have been flipped. Then people could go to the Crucible where we have the Iron Banner and farm for the perfect Crucible shotgun. What you're seeing here is footage of Winter's End, which is now what I'm taking into the Crucible, at least until I find that perfect Matador. Finally is probably my favorite weapon that I've received from the Iron Banner, and that is the Silver Dread machine gun. Now, ever since Rise of Iron launched, I haven't gotten my hands on a really solid machine gun. Not only that, but my arsenal was missing a good Void machine gun. And the Silver Dread is here to answer the call with fantastic perks like Small Bore, Speed Reload, and Hidden Hand. It of course has that Iron Banner scope that I like so much, and it just feels like it has pinpoint accuracy. The stability on this thing is absolutely unreal for such a high rate of fire machine gun, and that's why it feels so good to use in both PvE and the Crucible. Another weapon I was looking for was the Unbent Tree with perfect balance and counterbalance. I was really looking forward to having fun with this because of its max rate of fire, but unfortunately the stability makes it a very unreliable weapon. Another weapon I got was the Binding Blaze sidearm, which actually performs pretty well, but I'm just not a big sidearm user. Finally, I got the Titanium Orchid rocket launcher, which is a pretty decent launcher, but I just don't have room in my arsenal for another Void rocket launcher. Another cool thing that happened was that I got a ghost and an artifact, which I've already infused to my items of choice and have helped me get to 385 light. Also, the Iron Saga cloak is probably one of my favorite cloaks in the game, so if you're a hunter, I definitely recommend seeking that out. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get my hands on the pulse rifle or the sniper rifle. Having said that, this is probably the best overall arsenal we've had for the Iron Banner. The weapons feel, sound, and look super unique and are very viable in all activities, and that's including the raid. And that's why I think this is probably the most successful version of the Iron Banner. That combined with some of the improvements they made in the April update, where you can get to max life from any activity, really shine through in this update. Back in April, hitting 335 wasn't the most important thing in the game, but this time around with the raid, especially with Heroic coming up, this is when you can appreciate the improvements they made in the light progression system as well as where you get your loot. Even though I raid on a regular basis, it's awesome that you don't have to raid to be considered a top tier player. And now more than ever, the Crucible is a fantastic way to get there. In fact, I like a lot of the Iron Banner weapons more than I like the raid weapons, which only sort of serves to accentuate my point. And it doesn't just stop with the Iron Banner, we also have Trials of Osiris with incredible gear as well. Now, I'm personally a bit of a Trials scrub, so I want to thank my clanmate Black Rhino for letting me record his loot. So let's take a quick look at some of the Trials gear. You have the Vision Stone Adept auto rifle, which is actually a pretty decent auto rifle. It's already pretty stable and has perks like Send It, Rodeo, and Crowd Control, which makes it perfect for a lot of different activities. Next up you have Exile Student Hand Cannon, which is interestingly on the polar opposite side of the Lingering Song as far as rate of fire. The one Black Rhino got isn't too shabby with Hammerforge, Extended Mag, and Firefly, and of course the Adept version of all these weapons have Snapshot built in, which of course is a fantastic bonus for any activity. Now, if you're not a huge fan of the Siva themes of the raid gear, you might have a better time with the Trials gear. I really like the sleek nature of this armor versus the more jaggedy nature of the Siva gear. I also really like all of the class items this time around. I like that everything shades better and is moving away from that overly gold look. But anyways, what are your thoughts on the Iron Banner and Crucible loot in general? Leave them in the comments below. Drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe for more Destiny content. And I will see you all next time. Now, I've been looking for a perfect shotgun that has full auto, and without spoiling the raid, there is a certain part of the raid that demands you take down a major enemy very quickly. And as you can see, this thing has no problems against majors.